talk about Victoria for a moment because they're in all sorts of trouble, but trying to extricate themselves. You remember Jacinta Allen just a week ago came out and said bail laws are too soft. We need to do something about them. We're going to have a review. And we were like, really? She's had a come to Jesus moment, except she forgot to tell her police minister, who didn't know anything about the review. Well, she's had another Damascus Road conversion, suddenly realising we need to go through the state's finances and eliminate waste because there's too much wastage of taxpayer money. Can you believe that Jacinta Allen, the Premier of Labor Victoria, is saying this? Her Treasurer is kind of on board, but you remember her Treasurer is still trying to come to terms with economic lingo. She put out an email to Treasury staff recently saying, hey, when you email my office, please don't use too many economic terms because I've only been in the job a week and I'm still trying to learn what it all means. Here she is speaking to the media today.
What's the plan?
The fiscal strategy, which is the five-step, well-documented, and people don't like the language fiscal strategy, I don't think, which is why I refer to it as the plan. But you understand, Gus, what I'm talking about when I talk about fiscal strategy. The five-step plan in relation to stabilising debt.
Oh, confidence.
She's learnt a new word, fiscal strategy. Well done, Jacqueline.
She goes on to say she's going to have a, quote, laser focus on every dollar of expenditure. What an amazing thing for the Victorian Labor government to do, a laser focus. They're going to start now. Why didn't they start 9 years ago? Why didn't they start, when they proposed to hold the Commonwealth Games and then pay millions of dollars not to, or spent $40,000 on a dining room table?
Lovely table,
Or
James.
spent, what was it, over $1 billion on the MyKey system we talked about last
1.7.
Yep.
Laser focus. You don't need laser focus. Blind Freddy can see all the wastage that's happened in Victoria under their leadership.
They could do with a few lasers to go through and burn some stuff, I think, in Victoria. But can you imagine Jacqueline Symes, I don't know, she must go home to her parents. I learnt a new word today, Mummy and Daddy. Fiscal strategy. Can you believe it? I'm the Premier of Victoria. I mean, please. It is absolutely pathetic. This mob, I mean, you wouldn't trust them to organise a you-know-what in a brothel. Seriously. And they are in charge of the state. And this is the thing. Daniel Andrews pulled the greatest Swiftie of all time when he sniffed the wind and worked out that the tide had turned just a little too far for him. And he said, OK, I'm out of here. So he's gone off. He's signed up as the chair of a youth mental health board, and he's taken on a job with the Pratts, and now he's an advisor to Anthony Albanese in the lead up to the election. He's doing really well for himself, and on the way out, he handed the absolute you-know-what sandwich that he created over to Jacinta Allen and her cronies and said, you go and sort that out now.
Eat it and enjoy it.
What's happened to them? Look what's happened to them. It's absolutely handed
The hilarious thing is, right, so they've announced a review and they'll get someone in, a former Secretary of Cabinet, to come in and do this review to work out how many public servants they should sack to try and get the budget back under control. But last year, the Department of the Premier spent $1.15 million on external consultants to advise what do we do about public servant numbers. And as we all know, public servant numbers have just kept going up.
Of course.
So they announced these reviews to try to fool everybody into thinking, they're doing something about it, they're taking it seriously, but it won't make any difference. It'll just cost taxpayers even more money.
Can I just tell you something? If they end up voting in Labor again next year in November, I'm promising you right now on air, I will never, ever come to Victoria ever again. You can't do it. You can't do it to yourselves and you cannot do it to us. Given everything that's been put on display here, the misadventure when it comes to taxpayer spending, the absolute shambolic debt that they are in. This is also the government as well that gave, I think it was about $500,000 to the Sikh community to celebrate their religious leader's 555th birthday, and we're renaming suburbs right under the noses of Melbourne citizens.
With Social Security in
yeah,
the
he
US?
probably was. Yeah, exactly, because he'd be on the register also over in the US. Don't worry about that. But when you just really start to drill down into how shocking they have been with money, and then you get someone like a Jacqueline Symes who says this was her verbatim email that was apparently leaked. Stop using economic terms and phrases in all communications, emails, etc. with the Treasurer, as she doesn't have a clue what they are talking about.